Why does she forget the guy who gave her everything, but chase the one who gave her nothing? The man she can't stop thinking about is the one who doesn't need her, doesn't explain himself, and would walk away without blinking. That's the man she dreams about. That's the man she chases. What I'm about to show you will not only make women like you, but crave you. This isn't vague advice about being confident. This is strategy. Step-by-step psychology you can use to flip the dynamic, become the center of gravity in any room, and make her feel like she needs you more than air. Whether you want to attract the kind of woman others chase or control the frame in every interaction, you'll learn exactly how to do it. This isn't about flowers or flattery. This is about power, attention, and obsession. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to create all three. There is a gravity that some men possess, a silent force that draws her in, not with words, not with charm, but with something much deeper. This is not about appearance or status or money. It is about psychological domination, the ability to invade her thoughts, to nest inside her emotional core. And once you understand this, you no longer chase, you become the obsession. Every human carries a hidden fracture, and if you know how to listen, not to their words, but to their fluctuations, you will find it. You won't need to dig. Their voice will hand it to you. Their pauses will betray them. Their energy will spike when you graze that nerve. Conversation is not just exchange, it's reconnaissance, a battlefield of silent tells, the spike in voice, the repeated story, the gaze that lingers too long, the subtle shift in breathing. These are not random, they are cracks in the armor. Every time her story circles back to one name, one place, one wound, take note. Every time she asks a question she already knows the answer to, listen closer. Every time her eyes sharpen or soften, mark it. That's when you've touched something raw. That's when you go still, go deeper. That's when you stop reacting and start reading. The weak point reveals the void. And once you see the void, you fill it. You don't expose it. You don't press it. You simply become what that void has been screaming for. And that's where the obsession begins. Not from what you say, but from what you see. How many times have you spoken without watching? How many times have you missed the fracture because you were too loud to hear it? Be the man who sees, who listens through silence, who knows that every glance, every twitch, every repetition is a breadcrumb toward control. Because when you know where the wound lives, you own the cure, and she will chase the healer. The thirst for validation is ancient, and it's louder than people admit. It's not just a desire to be seen, it's a need to be witnessed by someone who matters. Most men try to quench it with direct compliments. That's a mistake. Praise, when delivered like a transaction, dies like one. Instead, use silence as your sword. Use implication like perfume, subtle, lingering, unforgettable. Ask for her thoughts, then look like you've just learned something sacred. Let her give you an answer and treat it like prophecy. Every time you say less, she hears more. Every time you withhold the obvious, you inject mystery. Every time you make her feel clever, powerful, useful, without saying it directly, you create a loop in her mind. Don't say she's impressive. Let her prove it. Let her catch you smiling at her intuition. Let her overhear her name spoken with respect when you didn't know she was listening. And she will think about it. Not once, not twice, but again and again. She'll return to the moment, replay it in the silence of night, wondering what it meant, wondering why it mattered. And in that wondering, obsession is born. How many times have you tried to impress with noise? How often have you blurted praise instead of letting it simmer? Be the man who praises like shadow, present yet never grasped. Be the mystery she never finishes decoding. Every dream is shadowed by fear, and in that shadow she hides the part of herself she doesn't show. The ambition wrapped in doubt, the confidence painted over cracks, the smile that hides the storm. Don't offer advice, don't fix, just listen, deeply, without fidgeting, without waiting for your turn to speak. Because every time you rush to solve, you interrupt the ritual. Every time you jump in with solutions, you rob her of the release. Listening is the seduction. Stillness is the spell. Then, only then, speak hope. But not like a preacher, like a prophet who's seen it before. Tell her of someone just like her, who doubted, who stumbled, who still rose. A man who had nothing. A woman who was told she'd never matter. Someone whose fear looked like hers, but who found their way out. Make it real. Make it flawed. Let her feel the blood in the story. Reassurance isn't logic. It's emotional alignment. It's telling her, I've seen this darkness, and I did not run. Because when a man listens without judgment, when he speaks only to echo her deepest need, he becomes sanctuary. And sanctuary is addictive. How many times have you tried to impress her with answers when all she wanted was space to unravel? How often have you missed the chance to be her anchor because you rushed to be her hero? Be the stillness in her storm. Be the witness to her war. She won't understand why she needs to hear your voice again. She'll only know that without it, she feels unheld. We are not shaped by what happens to us, but by what we believe about what happens to us. And belief, when twisted, becomes a prison, one she may not even realize she's locked inside. If she carries the wound of rejection, do not rush in with comfort. Do not patch it with cliches. Instead, you shift the lens, you change the frame. That man who left her, he was weak. Not because he left, but because he didn't stay to witness her rise. The one who ghosted, emotionally stunted. Not because he vanished, but because he couldn't handle her depth. Tell her what no one else dared to say. That not every rejection is a verdict. That sometimes being left is being spared. And slowly, she begins to rewrite the story herself. Every time she remembers his silence, she'll now hear your voice. Every time she thinks of what she lost, she'll wonder what she's now found. Because it wasn't just comfort, it was clarity. It wasn't just reassurance, it was redirection. And when that shift happens, when the belief bends, she will look at you not as the man who told her the truth, but as the man who showed her a new one. How many times have you let her stay chained to the lie? How often have you nodded politely instead of reauthoring her pain? Be the one who plants the new seed. Be the man who turns rejection into redemption. And she will not forget the architect of her rebirth. She holds the fruit. She decides when. But you decide if. And if you forget that, you become the beggar, not the king. You are not the dog who chases. You are the fire that warms or burns. Fire does not plead, it offers, or it destroys. Let her feel the tension of your restraint, the dominance in your stillness, the power in your pause. Every time you lean back, she leans in. Every time you don't bite the bait, she offers it again, more sweetly, more urgently. A man who can control his hunger becomes the hunger itself. Not because he suppresses desire, but because he owns it. He doesn't chase what's abundant, he pulls what's rare. Imagine a room of men circling a woman, each desperate to entertain her, to win her, not to please her. Now picture the one man leaning against the wall, silent, composed, uninterested. She'll notice him first, she'll wonder why, she'll test him, and when he doesn't move, she'll move toward him. This is polarity. This is power. How many times have you chased what should have been drawn in? How many times have you shown all your cards before the game began? Be the player who chooses the game. Be the flame that dances just out of reach. And she will try to catch what cannot be held. A presence that calms, followed by absence that haunts. Not once, not twice, but every time. Like waves withdrawing from the shore, only to crash harder. Give, then pull away. Not to punish, but to deepen the ache. Not to wound, but to amplify the sweetness of your return. She will replay the highs in your silence, the laughter, the tension, the way your eyes didn't flinch. She will analyze every word, every breath, trying to resurrect the moment. Because silence speaks, because space screams, because the unknown wraps tighter than certainty. Obsession requires oxygen. It needs gaps. It feeds on unanswered questions. You must learn the rhythm of withdrawal, the art of presence followed by distance. Be there fully and then vanish like a myth. How many times have you overstayed your impact? How many times have you robbed her of missing you? Withdraw, with dignity, with calm, with intention. And when you return, return with gravity, with weight, with mystery sharpened by distance. Let her feel not just your presence, but the absence it ended. Because what disappears on purpose returns as legend. These triggers, validation, reassurance, polarity, absence, they form the invisible net. A pattern not seen, but felt. A rhythm not heard, but lived. You are not manipulating her. You are mastering the dynamic. There is a difference between puppeteering and presence. One controls, briefly. The other imprints, permanently. She will not know why she thinks of you, why your name rises in the quiet, why your image interrupts her thoughts without invitation. She will not know why she dreams of you, why your voice lingers in rooms you've never stepped in, why your presence lives in her absence. She will only know this. You are the silence that echoes after the crowd, the flame that flickers long after the match dies, the story that doesn't end because it was never written in ink, but carved into memory. Every time she closes her eyes, she'll see the man who didn't try to be remembered, but became unforgettable. Every time she reaches for comfort, she'll find a hunger. Every time she hears your name, she'll pause, become the force she cannot forget, not by chasing, not by shouting, but by becoming the shadow that teaches her light. A woman becomes obsessed when she realizes your attention is no longer a given, when she feels the door close without warning. Most men hand out their focus like candy, then wonder why it holds no weight. You're not here to orbit her world. You're here to build your kingdom. You stop checking if she saw your story. You stop texting first, second, and third. You stop explaining what you meant, and when she feels the void, when your silence becomes louder than your words, that's when her mind starts to spiral. Every time you stop reacting, she starts remembering. Every time you don't chase, she starts questioning. Every time you walk away with composure, she loses control. Ask yourself, how many times have you rewarded her indifference with more attention? How often have you chased someone who barely lifted a finger for you? A man who stops giving a fuck isn't heartless. He's self-possessed. He's dangerous, not because he wants revenge, but because he simply doesn't care anymore. And that is when she starts watching, wondering, craving, because no drug is stronger than a man she can no longer predict. Do you know who women remember? The man who says little and does much. The man who walks away from drama like it doesn't exist. The man who leaves her questions unanswered because his life isn't a courtroom and she isn't the judge. Every time you explain yourself, you shrink. Every time you justify, you bleed power. Every time you answer a question that didn't deserve an answer, you hand her your frame. Let your silence confuse her. Let your indifference provoke her curiosity. Let your calm refusal to explain yourself become the echo she can't shut out. She'll ask, "Why did you do that?" You'll smile, say nothing, and go on building your life. She'll twist it in her mind. She'll revisit that moment again and again, wondering what it meant. And it's in that wondering that she spirals. How many times have you tried to explain your worth to someone who already decided to ignore it? How often have you poured logic into a bottomless cup, hoping it would be enough? Because explanation is for boys who fear being misunderstood. Men simply act and let the world adapt. Because when you become a man of few words, every word weighs more. When you stop justifying, the world starts adjusting. Be that man, the one she can't predict, the one she can't decipher. The one who never explained himself, because he never needed to. If you can't walk away, you've already lost. Attachment is not obsession, it's weakness wearing perfume. She must know deep in her bones that you will leave if your respect is broken. Not threaten it, not fake it, do it. And when you do, don't slam the door. Don't rage, just vanish. With silence, with class, with weight. That's when she realizes you weren't addicted to her. You weren't orbiting her attention. You were a force she couldn't contain. How many times have you begged for what should have been given? How many times have you stayed to be humiliated rather than rise to be missed? Walk with power, with presence, without regret, because the man who walks away once becomes the one she obsesses over forever.